Morning everybody, Claire here from Rainbow Acrylics. Something totally different this morning. I don't know if when you start paint pouring you got all a bit confused about what pouring medium to use, different types of floetrol, what it all meant. I certainly did. I didn't have a clue what I was supposed to be doing or using. I've now regularly poured Dutch pours with UK floetrol. I've recently been able to get some American floetrol and I've been really happy with it. But then I was contacted by a British company who's offered me some Australian floetrol in exchange for doing a review for them. The website is www.acrylicpouring.supplies.co.uk. A lovely lady called Gillian, she's given me some Australian floetrol. So I have decided to do a comparison of all three floetrols, plus a PVA glue and water pouring medium, plus just water as a pouring medium. So 5 pours I'm going to do now on little canvases, but they are going to be identical in as many ways as possible. Identical canvases, identical coloured paints, try and get identical paint consistency, although that's difficult. The only difference is the pouring medium. So I am so interested to see what will happen with this. I want to know which pouring medium gives the best sales, gives the best results, gives the most beautiful Dutch pour. So I'm really intrigued and excited to try this. So let me show you, I've got it all laid out here. Let me show you exactly what I'm using. So this is everything laid out. So I have got 6 pots of paint per pouring medium. So it was such a lot of mixing. It's taken me ages to get to this point. So the first one I'm going to do, UK floetrol called Owatrol. And I have mixed these colours. So I've got a cerulean blue, phalocyanine blue, Amsterdam white, Mont purple, Pebeo Studio Acrylics gold, and the iridescent blue violet, I think it's called. I'll list the paints in the description and also the mixtures I've used to get them to this consistency. So the next one is the American floetrol. So again, I've mixed everything there. The middle one here, I've mixed all the paints with just water. They were a lot more difficult to mix. I really missed that really creamy consistency of the pouring medium in there actually. This one here, this is my homemade PVA and glue and water pouring medium. Again, I'll list the recipe for that. So I've mixed all the colours there. And then the last one is the Australian floetrol. So the UK company that is now selling it decant the big bottles into smaller bottles. So it's a different label to the one you'd expect from Australian floetrol, but it is the same. I'm going to show you the difference in consistency next between the 3 types of floetrol. Right, I want to try and show you the differences in the consistency of these pouring mediums. So the UK floetrol first, it's really thick. So you'll notice if you look in the description at the different recipes, there's a lot more water to this mixture. You can just see how thick it is. So I actually think it's pretty good value for money because you end up mixing a lot more water, which therefore makes it the whole paint product a lot cheaper. So the American floetrol is thinner than the Owatrol, but still quite thick. Then my PVA and water pouring medium, much thinner. You can see how it pours off. There's no break in that line of pouring medium. And then the UK floetrol, the Australian floetrol is the thinnest. Can you see it just pours straight off? There's no break, but then it pours off really quickly. So when I've mixed the paints, I've added less water to the Australian and a little bit more to the floetrol American, but then most of all I've added to the UK floetrol to get them all to about the same consistency paints. Great, so let's get started with the canvases. Right, I'm all ready to start. Just to try and make it easier, I've put down the different bottles just so you can remember, or so it's clear which canvas is for which pouring medium. So the first thing I'm going to do is coat all of the canvases in the white base. The canvases that I'm using are just tiny little 20 by 20 centimetre canvases. I've put push pins in the back of them all, and then I've just checked that they're all level. So that's all my canvases covered. Couple of things I noticed. The middle one, so with no pouring medium, just the water, it looks different colour. It just looks a bit grayer, just doesn't look as nice and as rich. Very, very interesting. The Australian floetrol, I've never used it before. This is my absolute first time of using it. When I'm spreading it on the canvas, it goes all sort of pitted, almost like the skin of an orange, slightly pitted and bumpy. So I added some more to see if that was it, that would solve it, but it hasn't. It's very, very kind of uneven, which is interesting. Whereas if you look at the UK floetrol, in fact, all the other three, they're very smooth and very glossy. Right, lots of air bubbles. There's the most air bubbles in the water mixture, but I did mix that just this morning, whereas the rest of them were last night. So that might be why. Or the fact that there's obviously just more air in water than there is in a pouring medium. Right, so again, just to make this as absolutely fair as possible, I'm going to order my paints. I'm going to lay the paints down in the same way and in the same order, and hopefully by about the same amount. So let me just work out my order. Right, so all of them, I'm going to start with the dark blue. I'm going to do just a diagonal line. Right, to blow these out, I want to blow them out in a way that I can repeat, a repeated pattern of blowing them out. So I think the best thing I'm going to do, and also I want them to look nice as well, I'm going to start in the centre and then blow half one way and then half the other way. I'm not going to go out at 90 degrees because I think it's more variable that way. I'm going to go with what I call my curly kelp look, which is when you just go at about 45 degrees, because I want all the paints to interact and blow around with each other to create the cells. So I think that's what I'm going to do. No, I've changed my mind. I think the canvases are too small for that. I'm going to start at one end and then just blow at 45 degrees up to the top end, because I think that is going to be more repeatable. I'm going to be able to do that more consistently throughout the 5. this is really interesting. I have no idea what happened to this one. This one didn't go at all to plan. It's quite pretty, but this has not gone to plan. What I am very, very interested in is the one with the water, because I've got cells. They're a little bit irregular and a bit haphazard, but I think this straight away proves to me you actually don't need a pouring medium. You can actually create really pretty effects with just water. So if you're just starting out and you don't want to make the investment of a pouring medium, just use paint and water. I know there's a very famous, very well-known fluid artist, Rinska. She only uses water, and I'm impressed. So I'm not impressed with this one, which I'm not surprised. That's just my PVA glue and water. I'm not happy with that. This end, the Owatrol is very pretty and delicate, but there's not that many cells. There's definitely more cells with the flood floetrol. It's looking really pretty. I think the winner has to be, at the moment, the Australian flood floetrol, because I'll bring you in for a close-up in a minute. It's going a bit crazy with cells here. I'm just going to do a little bit of blowing around like I do normally with Dutch pours, because I'm probably not going to scrape these. I probably will keep these, so I want to make them look as pretty as possible. So I'm just going to do what I normally do with my Dutch pours now. Right, I think I've finished blowing around. I'm just going to give them all a good torch now. Right, first of all, the Owatrol canvas. Let me take you in for a good close-up. So there were cells, pretty small cells, but really, really pretty. These colours are lovely. I really like the colours. I only chose them because they're some of my favourite colours. It wasn't for any other reason, just I fancied using these colours. Pretty section there of cells. Okay, canvas number 2. So we've got the American flood floetrol. Lots of interesting cells, more I would say. For example, those cells there, yeah, more cells than the Owatrol. Look at those ones. That gold coming through, that's gorgeous. Yeah, there's definitely a bit more going on in this one. Scattered throughout the painting, there's just a little bit more interest, I think, than the Owatrol. And then water. So let me show you the cells. Look, there are cells. I'm amazed. I have to say, I think the cells look a bit sloppy somehow. They look a bit like they haven't kept their shape. And down here, there are cells, and it's really pretty, it's really interesting, but they haven't kept their shape. The other thing that I noticed with this one, with the water, is I don't know if you can see it from the video, but there's lumps of paint. The paint hasn't flowed well. It's very this whole surface of this painting here is really uneven. So I think that's the advantage of a pouring medium. It helps it to flow. But the cells, I am actually very pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting anything with this one, so really surprised. And then the PVA glue and water pouring medium. Well, what a mess this one is. It might be down to my consistency, but this does very much remind me of how I started out with my Dutch pours. Often they would splatter like this, they would go everywhere. It might be my consistency, it might not have been a fair enough test, but one thing for sure, I won't be going back to this. I would rather use just water in my paints than PVA glue in my paints for Dutch pours. Yeah, what a mess that one is. And then last but not least, the Australian floetrol. I think the paints are probably slightly thinner as well, so I don't actually like the design of this one as much, the composition, but look at the cells and the lacing. This by far has the most going on. The more you look, the more you see. There's stuff going on everywhere. Gorgeous lacing right there in the centre. These cells here, these are from when I torched. I was amazed. As soon as the hot air hit the canvas, these amazing multicoloured cells just popped up. These larger cells here, these were the original ones. And this clump of cells, this interesting bit up here, that was the original cells when I first blew it out. But a lot of these came up when I torched. So it will be so interesting to see when these are dry. At the moment, in terms of cells, I'm thinking the Australian floetrol, then the American floetrol, then the Owatrol, then the water, then the PVA. I think that's the order I'd put them in. I'm slightly skewed because I like the composition of these two more, and I think because they were thicker. I think consistency-wise they were thicker, and this one is more my type of Dutch pour, where it's quite a nice compact line. That's just how I do my Dutch pours. So I think composition-wise these two work more. Composition-wise, I'm not so keen on this one at the end with the Australian floetrol. That's a disaster. And that one, yeah, it's better than nothing, but I don't think I'll be in a rush to just use water. But let me show you when they're dry, and then I'm going to put them in order again of what I think, and then I'd love to know what you think. Right, I've just had an idea. Just before I do all my tidying up, I'm in a real mess here. I'm going to do one more canvas. I'm going to, oh, there's something in my paint there. I'm just using the Australian floetrol again, just with the leftovers. I haven't got that much, but I've got some. But I've decided to thicken it up slightly because the composition of the Australian floetrol painting I wasn't particularly happy with, and I don't want that to skew my decision on which I prefer. So just doing one more, but I've thickened the colours up, not the white. I'm quite happy with a thinner base, but I've thickened up the design colours for the Dutch pour, just to see if I can get a more similar composition. And also, because I'm only doing one at the moment, I thought if I get a more of a close-up view for you, you can see how the cells form better. So just cover them in white. Oh, that's what I meant. Can you see all those little holes or little speckles on the spatula there? That's what I meant about the Aussie floetrol going sort of orange peel effect. Yeah, it's doing it again, maybe not as much, but you can see it just doesn't cover it evenly. That's really interesting. So that must be something to do with what creates these cells. So you do a nice straight layer, but look, can you see it goes all speckled? How interesting. Right, I just torch this. And the same again. So in terms of my paint ratio now, not sure what I've got, but only to say that it leaves, can you see this? It's going to leave a little trail, but literally for just a split second. So it's just a little bit thicker than I would normally use for Dutch pour. I remember my order. I think it was gold next. And then purple. And pink. And then cerulean blue. Wow, that was a lot quicker than doing 5. So let's burst the air bubbles. And then I'm going to blow it out in exactly the same way. Wow! Oh my goodness, can you see that? It's instant. Oh wow, that is amazing. Wow. Wow, the cells here. Right, my composition is much better. This is much more my style of Dutch pour now. I was shocked. They just sprung up. What an amazing cells. Right, do a little bit of blowing, exactly as I did before. Yeah, composition, that's now much more similar to the other two, the American floetrol and the UK floetrol. Let's give this a torch again. It's much, much more responsive to when I'm torching. The cells just appear instantly, to the point that actually I might have preferred it before I torched. But that's what this experiment's about, learning, I think, what works, what doesn't work. Wow, yeah. Right, I've over-torched it now, but, wow. Yeah, I've way over-torched that. Do you know what? I've still got a little bit left. I'm going to do one more. Again, identical, this consistency paints, but without the torching. So I've got that comparison as well. Right, I'll be right back. Right, this is the last pour for this video, I promise. I just actually mixed up a little bit more white, and I thought it'd be interesting to think about what consistency, what ratio I'm using. So I used 2 parts Australian floetrol, 1 part paint, and half a part water, and that got me the consistency of these coloured paints. Because this is a base though, I then added a little bit more water because I'd like it to be on the thinner side, thinner than the colours. So that's the ratio that I will use in the future. So 2 parts floetrol, 1 part paint to half a part water. So last time, blue, gold, purple, pink, cerulean blue. Right, let's blow it out. That is incredible. Oh my goodness. Right, I've got far too much paint here. I need to sort that out. The cells are instant. I have never, ever, ever achieved cells like this. Even with the American floetrol, which I'm raving about at the moment. I love it. This is different. This is definitely blowing that out the park. This is amazing. Right, a little bit of tweaking. Right, I'm going to leave that. Oh, I've just got something in it. I've got a bubble there, so if I just try and burst that with my finger, yep. Oh, it's left not a very nice spot. Right, I'm going to leave it. So I'm not going to torch except for this here. That is a very solid block of blue and I don't like it. So let's just, yeah. So now that has created a few cells in there. So it just looks a bit more interesting. Whoops, I've created some smoke as well. I've burnt it. Wow, right. I'm going to show you a quick close-up of this. Then I'm going to tidy up, go and have some lunch. So this is literally 1 or 2 minutes after blowing this out. Look at that. So they are the cells there and here that I've created just by torching. So well, let me get it in focus better, sorry. So just tiny cells, but they just break up that area slightly. The rest, this is not by torching, this is just after blowing it out. I am amazed, I'm amazed. Look at that. This is probably my favourite little section here. Wow. What an amazing experiment to have done. So happy I've done this, but I am also so happy I've then played around with the consistency of the Australian floetrol, because that's the one I've never used before, not confident using. So there's the close-up. Happy with the composition as well. So I'll be back when they're all dry. Here they all are, they're dry. It's taken a couple of days for them to dry. I have got so much to tell you, so much to say about these paintings. So I'm going to start in the order in which I showed you. I said the order that I poured them, the order I showed you. So first of all, the UK floetrol. Really beautiful little painting. Really happy with the composition. Really happy with the deep, bright colours in contrast to the white. In terms of cells, I guess a little bit disappointing. You've got a few of these little cells here and here. These are the cells that would have been created by the blowtorch. So there's only really one main patch of cells or lacing, which is there. Maybe just a little tiny bit there. The rest of it is gorgeous, but no real cells. Really lovely blend of colours. Really happy with the little painting, but not really that many cells. So, painting 2, the American floetrol. Very similar, because I'm really happy with the composition, with the design, with the layout. But this time there's just a little bit more. There's just a few more cells. So I think these were the cells that were created by the blowtorch, but there's definitely more. There's a really lovely little patch of cells there, some lacing, some cells there. Just really interesting little bits like that, some cells there, and some cells there. So there's not loads, and there's like a lovely bit of lacing there and there actually. Actually, yeah, that's a difference, and more of a lacing effect, which you didn't get in the first one. So I think pretty similar, but it definitely has the edge in terms of cells, but not too many, not loads. So the next one was the water. Now this is, as I said earlier, this has really surprised me. It's dried very well. Considering there were these such ridges of paint, it's dried really nicely. We've got cells. Here, the cells have moved, I think, which is why they're really irregular. And I think they've probably moved because of the ridges in the paint. Some lovely little bits there. And then some lovely cells here. Now, one thing that has really surprised me about this, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it's the way the colours flow. There's something so satiny and soft about the look of it, and the gold is incredible. The gold for this on this pour is brighter and more glossy looking, I'm just trying to show you, than actually any of these other pours. It's glossier and somehow shinier than actually I normally get in any Dutch pours, and that's without any pouring medium, which has really surprised me. So I wonder if the pouring medium has some impact on the paint and just reduces somehow the brightness, the intensity. I don't know. If you know, then let me know. Next one is my PVA glue and water pouring medium. Not a lot to say about this. Absolute disaster, absolute mess, 0 cells. I guess the only slightly nice bit is you've got a little bit of lacing in here, But yeah, I'm moving on swiftly from that one. So the next one, the Australian floetrol, really, really pretty, lots and lots of cells. So gorgeous lacing here, lovely cells popping through here, bigger cells. You've got a real mixture in this, lots of the little cells, but a lot of these are created where I torched. Here, there's not much contrast, but this is full of cells. This would show up a lot more, I think, if there were lots of different colours. You've got a lot more of this lacing effect. Really pretty. And there's a nice patch of cells here. So of these 5, if I can get them all in, of these 5, 100%, the order of cells, the best, in my view, is the Australian, then the American, then the UK, then the water, then the PVA glue. But do you remember at the end I did some extra? I've got 2 more here to show you. So these 2 were the Australian floetrol again, but I thickened up the paints to try and get the composition a bit better. So this is the one where better composition, but I over torched it. So the Australian floetrol really reacts when you torch. I got literally thousands of cells, which is nice, but in my view it was just too much. Lovely patch of cells there. It's just a crazy amount of painting of cells. Some cells there, and then the last one was the painting Australian floetrol. Well, I haven't torched at all except for just in this little section here. So this I think of the 3 Australian floetrol paintings is my favourite, because you haven't got those tiny little cells. What you do have is some beautiful cells. And again, that little patch there in the top corner, absolutely gorgeous. And there, that dark patch. It's really interesting. So there's lots to see. So my verdict is the best floetrol, or the best pouring medium, should I say, for making cells goes to the Australian, then the American, then the English floetrol. But what has really surprised me is I've been looking at all of these paintings and I've been thinking, but what's actually my favourite painting? And I'm amazed to say this, but it's not the paintings with the cells. So I thought Dutch pours were all about trying to get as many cells as possible. So here I've proven that the Australian floetrol gives you the cells, but I don't like the paintings as much as these 2. So this is where it's very personal preference. I prefer contrast, and I'm not such a fan of the sort of much more wispy, floaty Dutch pours. This is more my style of Dutch pour, and I love, on these 2, I love the intensity, the richness of the colours, the streaks of the colours. When you get a lot of cells, like up here, somehow you're losing that. It looks a little bit messier. It might be just because it's a tiny, tiny canvas. It'll be interesting to do this on a much larger canvas, so you've got much more room to blow the design out. But on these canvases, this one, which is the American floetrol, is actually my favourite painting. I love the composition, I love the design, I love the fact that you have a few cells, but they're quite subtle. The cells aren't taking over, so the cells are like a really special little feature of the painting without it being messy and just taking over. So let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? This is art. Everybody has different opinions, has different views. So I'm sure some people will agree, a lot of people won't agree, and that's totally fine. That's absolutely fine. So Australian floetrol for cells, but actually American floetrol and maybe UK floetrol for overall Dutch pour. Definitely my favourite. Great, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry it's been such a long video, but there's just been lots to show you, lots to talk about, lots to mention. Let me know. I want to hear all your comments. I want to know what you agree with, what you disagree with, what you think, which is your favourite. Great, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having a lovely, lovely weekend. Take care, everyone. Bye.